Hello everyone, I am Jennifer Taran and I am from Group 7. I will be reporting about the neurological basis of human movement and communication of information. My topic is the reflex action. My objectives at the end of this session, you will be able to explain the benefits of the reflex in given situations in keeping the human body safe from harm and responding to danger. Understand that reflex responses do not require processing in the brain before a response is provided, and the recall that you can recall the nerves of the peripheral nervous system can be sensory and or motor. And my words of wisdom: always do what you are afraid to do. This explains how each on our lives there is this one person or sometimes ourselves who holds back us in accomplishing our goal or dreams. What better feeling to prove that every person is wrong by conquering your worst fears and doubts. This is my reflex action main topic. A reflex action is an automatic or involuntary and rapid response to stimulus, which minimizes any damage to the body from potentially harmful conditions such as touching something hot. Reflex actions are therefore essential to the survival of many organisms. A reflex action follows this general sequence. Uh, and does not involve the conscious part of the brain. This is why the response is so fast. From stimulus to receptor, sensory, neuron, relay neuron, motor neuron, effector, and the response. Now we will identify those. The first is the stimulus. Is there any change in the living organisms, internal or external, environment that can influence the organism's activity? Next is the receptor. A receptor are chemical structures composed of protein that receive that and transduce signals that may be integrated into biological systems. These signals are typically chemical messengers which bind to a receptor and cause some form of cellular tissue response. Sensory neuron are the nerve cells that are activated by sensory input from the environment. For example, when you touch a hot surface with your fingertips, the sensory neurons will be the ones firing and sending off signals to the rest of the nervous systems about the information they have received. Okay, na-sense nila na mainit yon. So, yung neurons na yun, sinasabi niya, mainit pala yon. Okay, and then, the relay neuron are widely found in our nervous system, including the thalamus, spinal cord, and lateral geniculate body. They receive a modulating input, which is and the reference input. Modulating input modulates relay of the reference input. Next is the motor neuron, are cells in the brain and spinal cord that allows us to speak, move, swallow, and breathe by sending commands from the brain to the muscles. Next is the effector, are modulator clues conveyed by microbial pathogens, and now this term is synonymously applied for various signaling molecules involved in plant pathogen interactions. The last one is the response. Response is a change in the body that occurs as a reaction to the stimulus. Later on, malalaman natin tong structures na to at paano ba yung nangyayari sa body natin hanggang sa from stimulus na uh, organism hanggang sa magkaroon ng response ang body. Next is the benefits of reflex actions. What are the benefits? One of the primary advantages of our simple reflexes is that they keep us warm and safe and prevent injury. Okay, syempre naman, no, ah, meron kang reaction doon sa bagay na agad-agad mong malalaman. Our bodies save time by reacting to a potentially harmful stimulus without having to think about it. This given us an advantage that may save our lives. Ito na nga ang example. When you automatically duck to avoid a fast-moving object, alam mo may tumatama sa'yo, nagamit mo yung stimulus which is ang ginamit yung eyes mo. So nakita mo yung moving object na matatamaan ka, okay? Or when you lose your balance and your body reacts to keep you from falling. These are examples of reflex action. Now the reflex acts, which is which has a structure na magagamit natin doon sa pag-explain sa ating uh, the, the stimulus to response. Reflex arc is a neural pathway that controls a reflex. In vertebrates, most sensory neurons do not pass directly into the brain, but synapse in the spinal cord. This allows for faster reflex actions to occur by activating spinal motor neurons without the delay of photon signals through the brain. When the reflex act involves the skeletal muscles of the body, it is described as somatic. Reflex arc also bring about in our internal organs. In this case, we describe them as autonomic. Remember, the somatic reflex arc is an involuntary response that involves the skeletal muscles of the body, while the autonomic reflex arc is an involuntary response that involves the internal organs of the body. Now, this is the structure of reflex arc. Um, from stimulus, the reflex arc is a neural pathway, sabi nga kanina. So, see first there is a stimulus. Si stimulus, we have mentioned earlier that the stimulus is any change in the response in the environment causes a response in the body. Okay. Next, C receptor. Our body releases a way to detect the stimulus. Okay. Uh, Later malalaman natin kung ano yung best example dito sa para mas maintindihan nyo yung structure of reflex arc. Okay. From stimulus to receptor. Si receptor, gagamit siya ng sensory neuron na ipapasa niya kay relay neuron. Okay. Uh, our body needs a way to detect the stimulus, and this is called receptor. A receptor is a part of the body that can sense the stimulus. The receptors will then activate a series of neurons, um, which carry signals from place to place na malalaman agad ni sensory neurons. The signal from the receptor activates a sensory neuron, which then passes it to a motor neuron. As the name suggests, sensory neurons are called efferent neurons, are specialized for receiving signals from sensory receptors in the body. Relay neurons, also called interneurons or connector neurons, transmit these signals to the appropriate places. And then, going to motor neurons, also called the efferent neurons, are specialized for causing movement or other reactions. The last one is the second to the last is the effector. Si motor neuron gagamit siya ng effector, which the effector activates, motor neuron will activate the effector. Ang effector is the part of the body that carries out the last step in the reflex arc, which is the response. Effectors in the muscles or glands. Okay? What is the best example? This is the cuff reflex dun sa ating explanation ng structure of reflex arc. Okay? Ang stimulus natin is the water. Okay? It is the best example